Happy Friday, everyone. Coming at you, DVD. Dmace, Vingen, and Donick. My road dog on the side of me, Willie Donick. Vingen is out one more day. Is it one more day?
Well, we'll have to see.
Yeah,
We'll
I think we need to see.
We'll see how Monday works.
Yeah, Monday. I think he will be back Monday, or it's to be determined.
TBD.
TBD.
We've had some things go on,
Yeah,
haven't
we've had a lot of stuff go on, and obviously, I'm sure some of our listeners have gotten wind of some things that are happening within the station. We've had some changes, or we will be having some changes coming up here very soon. Can I say like that we will Monday be?
I think we can
yes,
say it.
Monday.
It's been released.
This
is our last day.
Exactly. This is our last day in the midday from 11 to 2. So those of you that listen faithfully from 11 to 2, don't worry, because you can go from 3 to 6 now. You can come on over with us from 3 to 6. You can stay 11 to 2 with Big Joe and Joe and Chase. But I think some timing is moving around.
Right.
But yeah. But you still can listen to the show prior to our new time slot. But now you can just parlay yourself over to the 3 to 6 time slot, which myself, Adam, and Willie will be anchoring the show come Monday.
I think that's a song come Monday.
Yeah.
Now, I'm not a big Jimmy Buffett fan, but I do know that song.
Yeah.
But yes, we will be on from 3 to 6 starting Monday. We're really excited about the opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
Our new lineup is going to include Chase and Big Joe still leading into us. So, you just get to sleep in a little longer. I guess,
sleep in a little bit longer.
But they're going from noon to 3. We'll go from 3 to 6. And look, we're excited. We're going to tell you all about it and all of that stuff. But we do want to say,
yes,
with the decision that was made yesterday, that Jared and the station parting ways, that we do wish Jared well.
Yes.
Right? Jared, I put this out on Twitter. I thought about, what did I want to say? Because Jared's been with us for a long time, and he's a good person. Philosophically, stylistically, he and I could not be any more different.
It's like night and day.
Like, we are completely different flavors of ice cream, right? But I did learn some things from him. He is good at what he does, and he's going to be successful. He is going to do good things because he works extremely hard. If you like how he does it, if you don't like how he does it, if you love to hate how he does it, which is, I think, a large portion of people, which makes him effective, he's going to be doing this somewhere. He already is doing it. He's got other places that he does his thing. I think he's going to be skillful. So I just want to let people know that I wish him well. I know you feel the same way too.
Yes. Jared and I have become what I believe friends. And just watching him grow in his business. He's like one of those friends that you meet early on in school, and y'all don't quite mesh. Y'all kind of rub each other the wrong way. But then as time starts to go, that roughness starts to wear out and it becomes smooth, and you two become friends. I think that's what it was like with Jared. Being able to having the pleasure of doing, the pre-games with him, and hearing his insight. And we didn't always agree, but just to hear his insight on certain things, it does, at times it allows you to, question, what you're seeing out there, and if he's seeing things, a way that you should be seeing them. So again, whether you agree with Jared or not, I think the one thing about him is that he was up front. He was a straight shooter. You may not have liked all his takes. I found his takes rather funny at times, but I learned a lot from him. And Willie, you have, pretty much spelled it out about his work ethic. I haven't seen, a young guy work that hard at what they do in a very long time. And he takes pride in what he does. And again, if it may not always be your cup of tea, how he's presenting, his argument or his opinion, but it's his. And we respected him for that. We made jokes about it. He made jokes at us. He thought some of at least my takes were outlandish, and I thought some of his were outlandish. So we always had a really good, I think, at least myself, we always had a really good relationship. And again, it was a pleasure, and not too many times you say that as an older guy. And I think I'm almost 20 years older than Jared. But not many times you hear an older guy or older person say, you learned a lot from, someone that is your peer, but is much younger than you. And just watching Jared do what he does and how he go about his business, I learned that it takes a lot. And, you got to be dedicated, especially when you're doing a show by yourself. You got to make sure you're dedicated to your craft and you're doing exactly what you're supposed to do. And that's one thing I can say about him. He was dedicated, or he is dedicated to his craft. And that is going to open him up many doors as he moves forward. So I want to say personally to Jared, good luck. Continue to enjoy your family. You got a new one, so continue to enjoy them. And obviously we'll continue to see him around town or whatnot. But I wish him nothing but the best in his endeavors in the future. And I'm sure he will be, I'm sure he still will be doing his things that he's doing on satellite radio, I believe. But I'm sure, he'll get an opportunity again if he wants it to talk local sports, but mainly sports in general, because he loves sports. He loves the teams here in Nashville. And don't think, and I'm ended by this, don't think that because he talked the way, or his opinions at times were harsh about the teams here, don't think that meant he didn't love the teams here. He loved watching them. He grew up watching them. He's a fan, not just a guy that comes on and gives his opinion, but he's an actual fan of the sporting teams here. And sometimes that can be hard when you're a fan, like he grew up here, and then have to talk about the bad stuff. But he's found a way to do it his own way, but he found it.
And with all that said, it's our job as professionals and as competitors, and you and I and Adam are all competitors. It's our job to make the station better. So that will be our goal when we go into that time slot from 3 to 6 on Monday through Friday. So I just want everybody to know we're excited, and that's our goal. And we hope that you will follow us, or at least, go back and listen to, we'll still have all of our podcasting tools out there, right?
Yes.
If you're a midday person with your schedule, and this is when you listen to the radio live, you can always go back and hear what we have done. We'll do that. But so we're very determined. We're very excited that we get this opportunity. I of course, I probably at one time in my career when I was young, I probably didn't realize how lucky I was for a couple of years, because I think when you're in your low to mid 20s, you think you know everything.
Yes.
Just like when you're 18, you think you know everything, and then when you're 22, you go, "Man, I was an idiot when I was 18." But I was in the drive time slot from the get-go, and I was very fortunate to have George Plaster, Joe Biddle, who knocked me down a few pegs, which I needed. Right, I needed to know that I needed to grow into it some. And so I was in that time slot for a long, long time. And then with all of the things that have evolved with the Predators and everything like that, I ended up in our midday time slot, which has been great for me with where I was with my family and my kids and everything. But man, I am chomping at the bit to get back into the drive time, because it is where you want to be. And so I don't take that for granted. So I am really fired up about the chance to get back in there.
And, Jared worked extremely hard to make that, 2 to 6 for him. It'd be 3 to 6 for us, to make that 2 to 6 time slot, one of the best, if not the best in the city. I think it was the best in the city. we are now our responsibility, and we're taking this very seriously. Our responsibility is to take what Jared has built up, take it, run with it, and make it even better. And that's what we plan to do. So our listeners, if you're listening from 11 to 2, and you can come over to us after you're finished listening to Big Joe and Chase right before us, please do that. And for the listeners that were listening to Jared, stick with us. We're going to be great. I know you will. So I'm not even worried about that. But we are going to take what Jared has left us, and it's great, and we're going to make it even better. So that's Willie's task, that's Adam's task, and definitely mine as well as David. So we're excited about this time slot. We got a lot of sports to talk about. We were out at practice today, and I don't know if we should start with that, Willie.
I think we should.
Or yes, I think we should start with that, because today was a padded practice, which wasn't originally on the schedule. For whatever reason, it became on the
start
schedule.
with that. Start with that. When you saw that, what did that tell you or not tell you? And again, this is all from afar. This isn't anything we've heard from the inside. He did address it this morning.
Yeah.
He just said, "Look, I think we need." It was the answer from what I could gauge from what people were writing about. I didn't listen to it today. I felt like we needed another practice.
Yeah, and based upon, and this is only my opinion, based upon the way the very first day of practice, and I know some people may dismiss it as, oh, it was the first day, it was hot, this and that, but the very first day of practice, it just seemed like there wasn't any juice. And then I figured, okay, once the pads come on, the energy would ramp up. And when the pads came on, and what I was expecting didn't happen. And then you come back the next day, and it's not any better. There's some better periods, but from an energy standpoint, or from just a feeling, it just didn't feel like because I've experienced this, and it just didn't feel. It was something a little bit off. So Brian throws in another practice, and a padded practice, and typically what that means to me, and only me, and from my experience, either one or two things, or both simultaneously. One could be simply, it's going to be cooler, so let's just throw an extra day of pads in there because it's not as hot. So let's throw an extra day of pads and see if we can get some things going. It could be that, which is okay. I understand that. Take advantage of the weather while you can. Or it could have been, listen, I don't think we got enough out of what we were trying to do energy-wise, the flow of offense. We need to be in pads again. We need to get something going again. And just so happened, the weather is as mild as it has been the last, 2 weeks. So let's go ahead and have a practice. So I could look at it, you can look at it both ways, or one way or the other. I look at it from this standpoint. I didn't think the practices prior to this one today, I think it lacked energy. There was some things that, from a play standpoint, they were doing, they didn't flow as well. But that stuff, I think, I'm not going to put too much, put too much into that, because a lot of times you don't know exactly what they're doing and what they're trying to accomplish within periods. But the one thing that I've always said, and coaches have told me, listen, you control the energy. You can't control, if the play comes to you or, whatnot, but you can control how you're approaching and your energy to the game. It just didn't seem like in prior days that energy was there. And to me, I think that's why you throw in an extra padded practice and you try to get that energy that you were seeking from your team. Today, Willie, I was more so concerned, and I said this out on the field. It's not a 5-alarm fire sort of panic, but it seems to be just a little. There could potentially be a problem with that brush over there. If you don't get rid of that brush over there,
all right, so
if you don't clear it out on the side of the road, we may have a fire.
Okay,
but
so
let's clear it out now, and we won't even have to go through the the whole thing of getting the fire department out here and everything else. Let's take the push, take it with us, get rid of it.
Okay, so let's come back on that and get into specifics because the setting was different today. It wasn't as hot. It was breezy. I felt like I was in a different state. I thought I had gone to New Hampshire or something like that. So it was a crisp day. I'm sure guys felt good being out of the field because it has been so hot. And we'll talk about what we saw because it was different today. Some good, some bad, and we'll get into Dmace's reference of the brush fire, the brush fire, because I can see. I think I know where he's going. We were standing together and watching the same thing. So we'll talk to you about the Titans training camp. Our coverage is presented, by the way, by Macero in 12 South and also Parman Energy Group. You're listening to DVD, Dmace, Vingen, and Donick here on 102.5 The Game. It's presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365.
Injured in a motorcycle accident? Call lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your motorcycle accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers for a free case evaluation. Insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible or nothing at all. Law Tigers will make sure you get the compensation you deserve. Law Tigers doesn't get paid until the case is settled, and they understand how much your bike gear is worth to you and will help you get your bike all repaired or better yet replaced. Law Tigers is a resource the motorcycle community turns to when in need. So whether it's support an event or if they see you broken down on the side of the road, with Law Tigers, you'll never ride alone. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or visit lawtigers.com. That's lawtigers.com. They are located, they presented by for Freeman and Fuson, and you can find them at 2126 26 Ave South, Street South in Nashville. That's lawtigers.com. That's Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
Dmase, Vingan, and Donick coming your way from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Willie Donick and Derek Mason here with you on this Friday. Came fresh off the field over at the Titans training camp, watching a padded practice that was added to the schedule. They'll practice again over the weekend, and then next week it ramps up with the controlled scrimmages, whatever you want to call them. So that will be coming up next. And later in the hour, or later in the show, we're going to talk about the context of what we're seeing here, because we're in our own bubble. We're watching every move of Cam Ward. We're watching only the Titans. There are 31 other camps going on, and some of the things that are happening here are happening other places as well. So it's important, I think, to have that perspective. But as Dmace likes to say, nobody cares about what's going on in other classrooms. Just tell me how are your grades in this class.
Exactly.
So with that, you referenced a brush fire, and you say it's time to put the brush fire out before it becomes something bigger. So what are you seeing there?
Yes, and I listen. I want to preface it by saying this. By no means do I think that because of what I'm seeing that, oh my goodness, it's just, there's no coming back. This is going to be a dismal season. It's not that. It's just when you see things and you see them more than you should, or more than you like, more than you're liking, especially someone that has been a part of that, you tend to, it makes you raise an eyebrow. Again, it's not a fire. It hadn't even begin to smoke. But I understand that the brush is over there, and unless we remove it, it's going to catch fire. And what I'm saying is this: the sidearm throws we talked about even the other day, that was getting some balls batted down, more maybe to our liking, at least to my liking. And the talk was, well, should he change his mechanics? And I'm like, nah, you really don't want to mess with his mechanics, like an overall changing. But I think he's going to have to learn that some of those angles, they may look a little bit different here in the NFL. You probably can't throw as consistently these sidearms and whatnot. You can't throw it at the regularity you were doing it in college. It doesn't happen this way, but you got to find out how, when, and where you can do it, within the plays. And he's had some balls knocked down, in the first couple of days of practice, and it was like, okay, he'll get it, but they're still occurring. And it seems as if there hasn't been this, going back. There hasn't been. It's only gotten worse, and hadn't gotten any better. And it's a concern, because I think this is where you work on fine tuning some of those things. You don't say, it'll be all right, I'll be fine, and then get into the season and it really gets ramped up, and you're trying to now change how your mechanics slightly. Let's do it now. There's been too many, and I'm not a coach over there. I'm not hearing this from any, but from my eyes, there have been too many batted balls, just too many. And if no one finds that potentially alarming, something's wrong with you. Let's catch it right now, so you don't have to deal with it when the season starts. Because make no mistake, when they go to Tampa and Atlanta, they're going to be coming. And if you get a ball or two knocked down, the scouting report now is going to be, get your hands up. He liked to throw it shoulder pad level. So you're more than likely, if you keep rushing, you'll get to the ball. You may not get to the passer, but you'll get to the ball. I'm sure those are things that Brian Callahan is seeing. I cannot be the only person that's seeing this. But maybe Callahan, like me, thinks that, okay, I see it. I'm going to address it. I'm going to keep talking to him. But this is not a overhaul of his mechanics. We got to find out a way to tweak them just a little bit, so when we get in those situations, the balls are not coming out sidearm or low at every play. It's not a reoccurring thing. It may happen every once in a while because he has to do it, but it's not this reoccurring thing that gets him in trouble. And you say, well, Patrick Mahomes do it. Well, Patrick Mahomes 6'3", I believe. He's at least 2 inches taller than Cam Ward. So maybe it's a little bit different for him, but this is where Cam Ward has to figure that out. I didn't like the question of, I've been doing this the longest. Well, I know, but you got to change. You got to change something. When you get to this league, just because you've been doing it for the longest, there's always something you got to tweak. Great players understand that. Good, like guys that are destined for, they understand that. Yeah, I've been doing it this way my whole life. But now it may seems to be a little bit trouble. Let me try to tweak what I'm doing and see if that works. But to say I've been doing this forever, I know his confidence. I get it and I love it. But as a pro, you got to know, just because I've been doing this high school, college, doesn't mean I can continue to do this. I got to elevate my game.
I thought he was sharper today.
Yeah, sharper,
for the most part.
Yes.
I thought the timing was better. He had more throws that were quick and on time. They were working on third down today. So it was a different type of defense that he was facing. And so I liked a lot of what I saw, but you're right. I do think it is going to be something to watch. Practice in, practice out, and then obviously when the games start, because you hit on it. They will have his tendencies backwards and forwards. They're going to have every rep, and they're going to see it with the different arm angles. So it's just like a hitter going up against major league pitching for the first time. It's going to be the rookie that's got all the talent. In batting practice, you're going to see these balls soaring out of the park. Hey, this guy can hit. And then, like in the movie Major League, hey, let's see if he can hit the curveball. Remember Serrano?
Yes.
And then all of a sudden they realize, he can't hit the curveball. That's an extreme example, but they're going to know what he does well and what he doesn't, and they're going to try to expose his weaknesses. And so there's going to be a growth period. I think you're right. If he's stubborn and just basically says, I'll just keep doing it the way I've always been doing it, that's going to be a problem. I'm hoping, because it hasn't happened yet, he's still learning what he can do.
Exactly.
And I hope he's learning that the arm angles, some of the lanes that he's clearly been successful throwing in before, those lanes will not be there at this level. It's going to be more difficult. So I hope that he works his way out of this naturally before somebody has to go and say, Cam, we're making a rule. You can't throw sidearm. Like I saw that happen. We had a guy I'll bring it back to my experience, college basketball. Fortunately, it wasn't me this time. There were some rules probably put in for me. But we had a big man who just was not great at dribbling the ball. And we had to make a rule. One dribble. Big man, one dribble, and that's it. That's a rule. And it helped him not turn the ball over, right?
Exactly.
So I think that's what I think there's going to have to be. And I think Brian Callahan is letting him work itself out. But I wonder behind the scenes when they're going through the film is like, all right, that lane might have been there in college. It's not going to be there in the NFL.
Exactly. And these are the things that you're anticipating once they sort of I will be able to get a better sort of gauge on it once they go against Atlanta in Tampa. And obviously the first couple of preseason games, you will get a feel of, is he now adjusting it? It's game time, so now he's doing a better job at adjusting his throws. But I know there may be some people out there say, "Oh, he'll get it. Don't worry about it. He'll get it." I mean, he did it in college. But my whole thing is, why say that? Why not try to fix it now before we even get to a point to where it becomes a problem? Because people, I will bet just about anything that I got or have that if it's not addressed in some way, shape, form, or fashion by those that are tasked to develop this quarterback, we are going to have some problems in the season. That's all I'm saying. I hope it doesn't happen. I'm sure Brian Callahan and everybody else that's tasked to develop Cam, I'm hoping and I'm sure they're seeing the same thing that I'm seeing. But they got to find a way to do it within the mechanics that he has already established? How do we tweak it just a little bit? Because if you're not getting better in this game, you're closer to retirement than what you think. You're closer to being cut than what you think. If you're not getting better, if you're not improving, if you have a weakness and that weakness you have, and you're not improving it, the coaches don't see the development in your weakness. You are closer to not being on this team than you are. I'm not saying Cam Ward is in that case because he's not. But that's an example of if you're not working on yourself or if you're not working to get better in this sport, even the little things, if you're not working at those, especially at the quarterback position, then you're not going to spend too long underneath center. I know from what I've, seen, from what we've heard, that Cam is a guy that he takes his job very seriously. So I just hope that everybody's recognizing this and do whatever they need to do to tweak it just a little bit. Again, it's not talking about overhauling his mechanics. No, that's not going to happen. If you got to overhaul his mechanics, you shouldn't have drafted him. I think it's a matter of just like with any player that comes into the league, even the greatest ones, they had to tweak some things that first season as they started to get into practice and started to realize, hey, this ain't college no more, Then they had to start tweaking their game just a tad bit. I'm sure that will happen with Cam, especially as we start to get into preseason games and then ultimately the regular season.
Here's a question I think is important, and I thought about this today. I've now watched him 3 times live at practice, and I'm trying to look past the mistakes because he threw another pick 6 today. You're going to hear all day about the pick 6, right? I don't know what happened after we left. We did have to leave shortly before they finished practice, and we'll see what some of the comments are after practice. So we're going to talk about the mistakes in the context of what happens around the league with young quarterbacks. But here's what I'm asking myself, Dmace. When you watch him, Cam Ward, do you see a freak in terms of tools and talent? As much the same or less than maybe you thought you were going to when you actually saw him on the field in a Titans uniform?
I think it's a little bit more than what I expected from this standpoint.
More than you thought.
But no, because from this standpoint, it's different to see someone on television and see them going through the motions.
That's
and throwing
exactly
a football.
why I'm asking.
Yeah, it's different because you get a sort of a perception of a type of passer he is, the movements and everything else. But then when you actually see it in person, it's like, okay. And it was seeing it in person, even though the sidearm stuff, the low passes, that does need to be figured out. But seeing him in person, what I was expecting, I got, but even a little bit more. Not it's been from one extreme to the next. No, it's been a little bit more like, okay, this kid does look good throwing the ball. He needs to work on some things, but he does look good throwing it.
What about just physically? Like
physically, yeah. I think
because I'll be honest, I don't know. Just the look. He doesn't look as physically like, oh my gosh, look at how he moved. It doesn't blow you off the page first pick overall kind of stuff. Like he's got the arm.
Yeah,
like
not many first round quarterbacks do that.
He throws some beautiful passes.
Yeah, absolutely.
He's got the arm strength. Like when he moves, when he turns up the field to run, I just wonder how that's going to look when we get in the game. There are some guys that look one way in practice, and then in the game, there's another level.
Yeah.
And I'm hoping we see that. But like you said, he's not super tall. He's not super fast. He's got a very good arm, no question. He's got the unique arm slot that we are going to have to see how he adjusts. But the term freak, like Javon Curse, right? The freak. In this town, he's the freak, and he was the freak from basically the first practice.
Exactly.
And then certainly the first time he put the uniform on, we were like, oh my gosh, this guy just got around the left tackle with the guy touching him.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like that's a freak. And Javon wasn't even the first pick in the draft. Not even close. But the word freak doesn't come to mind when I see Cam Ward. And maybe it's not supposed to, but I'm just curious about that part.
I
Like
when
his
it
just raw talent.
Yeah, when it comes to quarterbacks, I don't think I've ever, beside like Lamar Jackson, where you or Michael Vick, you say, man,
Right.
this kid, he's just
Lamar Jackson is a freak.
It's just different athletes.
Mahomes is in his own way
in
a
his
freak.
own way, he's just a different athlete from the rest of the quarterbacks, as is Lamar Jackson, and they're different in their own way, in their unique way. When I look at Cam Ward, he looks like based just like any other quarterback, you know. It's not like he's ripped like, Will Levis. He's not
That's another thing.
6'5".
And again, it's going to be, as Hal Gill likes to say, get it done-tivity.
Yeah.
He said, when I throw analytics, it's Hal. He says, here's my stat for you. Get it done-tivity. Like, he doesn't care how you look or what the analytics
And that's
are you getting it done? And that's what it's going to be.
Yeah, that's the thing with the quarterbacks. I don't care. Listen, be in shape, but I don't care if you got a six-pack. I don't care if your guns are as big as Hulk Hogan's or that's not my. Can you throw the football? Can you read the defense? Can you get the ball to me or to the other receivers? That's all I care about. You ain't got to be. I don't want you lifting what I try to lift. I don't want you doing that. Work on some other stuff.
But I thought I would see a little bit more. This is, once again, this is just my first impression, and I hope that it becomes a non-story. But I am curious what others think when they watch him live for the first time, because the talent hasn't jumped off the page at me like I thought it might.
Now, from a talent standpoint, there has been a few moments, but then there has been moments where it's like, okay, he has some things to work on. He really does have some things to work on, and that's all a part of it. It's going to be that way. Listen, like I said yesterday, we were not in the camps with Jaden Daniels. We were not in the camps with Caleb Williams nor Drake May. We don't know what they were saying about CJ Stroud when camp started. Frankly, we didn't care because he wasn't our quarterback. And maybe some of those things that we see with Cam was happening with those quarterbacks, but we didn't care, So I'm not saying this to make it seem as if, Cam is just out there just stinking up the joint, because he's not. He's learning, he's developing as a quarterback, but even in that development, as a former player that have watched quarterbacks be developed, I don't know everything. I don't know it all, but there are some things that I do know. And one thing I do know, if he don't get that straightened out, the Titans are going to have some problems, consistently throwing the ball down the field.
When we come back, we've got a lot of texts already on our text line driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. We're going to go through some of those. And then at the top of the hour, we're going to talk about how another young quarterback in this league is also having some of the same things said about him. And it's quite the circus. We'll get into that at noon today. We will have also Ask Dmace at 12:30. So we're going to have a lot of fun on the show today. 615-737-1025. You're listening to DVD here on 102.5 The Game. Hey, don't forget 1025 The Game and Souls for Souls have teamed up for a back-to-school fundraiser. Souls for the 615. It provides new shoes for kids experiencing homelessness in Nashville. Help a child in Middle Tennessee to step into the new school year with confidence by donating $20 for a new pair of athletic shoes. For more info and to donate, visit thegamenashville.com/shoes. Souls for the 615 is sponsored by Macero in 12 South. Go check them out for handcrafted cocktails, bold plates, great happy hour, and elevated hospitality. Willie Donick, Derek Mason here with you. We're talking Titans training camp, and we're talking Cam Ward. You can join the discussion at 615-737-1025, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Here is just, I think, the basic question. That's an important one. Does Cam Ward seem to be trending upward during practices overall and not just focusing on the sidearm throws? He's looking beyond the issue we're sort of drilling down on today. What did you think overall? I did see some things that I'm like, I like that throw.
I think overall, I think he's getting better. I think he's recognizing things. He's recognizing what the defense is doing. Today's, I thought the tempo was a little bit faster, quicker. And typically when that happens, that means, a lot of times the quarterback is getting it. So you can kind of speed up the tempo in and out of huddle. Plays are a little bit more crisp. They're coming out because he's decisive. And again, even the balls that were knocked down, he's going to the right guy. He sees it. It's just that disconnect, when he throws the ball and it hits the pad. So just need to clean that up. But as far as like seeing it, understanding it, getting the ball out, I think he is developing from that standpoint. Listen, you're always going to have a day where you may either stay neutral or you may take a half a step back. It happens. But if you are taking more steps forward than you are backwards as a rookie, that's a good thing. And I think he's on that trajectory of being a rookie. He's having a rookie. He takes a few steps forward, and then he takes a step back.
Mm-hmm.
And then he takes another step forward. And sometimes he may stay at that place for the whole practice. He may not get any better or any worse. But that's the life of a rookie, especially a rookie quarterback.
I agree. Here are a couple of texts. And at the top of that, we're going to talk about that dynamic, about how you challenge and throw a lot at a rookie to make him better. And you expect some steps back. Also, a couple things we should point out there. Calvin Ridley did not practice this morning. They did not say, they said it is not injury related. It's just rest.
Just a maintenance day.
They weren't going to practice originally. He had the cramps, and they verified it is not an injury to Calvin Ridley, because we were there at practice. When he pulled up, it got very quiet. He went down, and you're like, oh boy, because we have seen around the league and around sports. I mean, hello, Tyrese Halliburton. When a guy holds his calf, you freak.
Yeah.
Right? Because you're like, is that the calf? It could lead to Achilles. What about he could be out for the season.
Started to freak out. Like,
and then you could tell that the way, the massage and the trainers, like, okay, he should be all right. They feel like that's a cramp. Devondre Sweat also did not practice today. Nothing apparently serious or anything like that. He was not in there. Couple of texts. One texter with a 510 area code. I don't know that one off the top of my head. Titans had the opportunity to trade out of the first pick with the Giants. Could have gotten one of the quarterbacks that they obtained in the deal this year or next year, and they wouldn't be in the position they're in. They're now, with the loss of Will Levis, now they're going to be forced to trade with the Browns or the Giants anyway and give up more than they would in the first place. So we're skipping way ahead. I mean, this is the kind of thing we're trying to avoid.
Yeah.
We talked about that yesterday. They passed up a lot of picks to draft Cam Ward. That is going to be what they have to wear forever. But that being said, we know Cam Ward is not a finished product. This is not what we're talking. We're evaluating him by the day. And there's going to be good and bad. And it doesn't mean we think he's going to be awesome. Doesn't mean we think he's going to be a bust.
Yeah, and I think that's our job too, when we're out there. If we're out there every day, if we're out there every other day, tell you the story of how practice went based upon what we're seeing. And it's not like we're saying this is going to be the final product, But as fans of this team, especially those that can't make it, we try to give you a visual, through words at what we were seeing. And some of it ended up being good, some not so good. But it doesn't mean that we are all of a sudden writing a book on Cam Ward and say, oh, this is what he's going to be his rookie season. No, we don't know what he's going to be, but I know what I'm seeing now. And I see a quarterback that is having a rookie, experience at that position. Someday, some periods are better than others. Some periods you want to forget about.
All right, here's another context question that is good for you.
Mm-hmm.
Here's the worry from a texter.
Mm-hmm.
I worried that if he's having trouble with the Titans defense, which is not a great defense, how is he going to do against the rest of the NFL? Do you worry about that? I do look at the Titans defense, and I don't see the steel curtain or the doomsday defense, or pick your favorite defense of all time, the 85 Bears. They clearly are not that. But at the same time, I'm not quite as wrapped up in that part of it yet. I'm just watching the mechanics, the timing, the things that I can process.
Yeah, because a lot of this stuff is let's throw at him, let's give to him, see how he processes it, and then see how he develops as a quarterback. So again, a lot of it is just throwing stuff in and seeing how he reacts. So that's why I'm not sitting here, putting a definitive, grade or definitive, whatever on Cam. It's just these are the things that I think he needs to get better at. And you expect him to get better at those things. If he doesn't, then we can address it if we don't see it happening. But at this point, these are the days. Someday, I want people to understand that there are some excusable days. And what I mean by excusable days, they are learning days. Let's throw it all at you. And if you mess up, it's excusable because this is the first time you're getting it. This is the first time you're seeing it. So we don't expect you to go 100 for 100 or come out with an A+.
Yeah.
Some
you could design the practice that way,
exactly.
as we said.
We can design a practice to complete passes and be an A+, and then people are getting rah-rah, but then we get in the game and all of that's out the window.
Exactly.
I can't structure a game like that. I can try, but it ain't gonna happen. But what it is with Cam is he's allowed to fail in practice. But also in his failure, you want to see if he's learning from those failures. That's why I look at the low passes and I say, I just see the brush over there. He's learning, so hopefully that brush gets swept away and we're fine. But if he's not developing, then that eventually is going to turn into something you don't want it to turn into.
You've segued right into the segment we're going to have at the top of the hour here. And here's another good text from a listener, Justin. He said, I have no confidence in Callahan, and Levis didn't improve last year. He got worse. Mason Rudolph didn't play very well. I don't know that I can trust them to take Cam Ward and coach him to be a starter in this league. Okay, so that's going to lead perfectly as well into our next segment. We're going to play you a clip from the MMQB podcast and the observation that one of their panel members, Albert Breer, had in watching a day of Chicago Bears practice and what's going on with Caleb Williams, a second-year quarterback. And there's a lot swirling around Caleb Williams, as we know. But he is last year's first pick in the draft. So we're going to find out what's going on up there. But there is a term I want you to familiarize yourself with called fatalism. That is the term that Albert Breer used. I think it's an interesting term. And that text right there from Justin, there is some fatalism going on with the Titans fan base. Just the lack of confidence in anything they're doing. They've stunk for everything that's gone wrong. It's going to continue to go wrong because it always goes wrong. It's Amy Adams, it's all Rand Carthon, all these things. Nothing that they do can be right. And so you have to overcome that if you're Brian Callahan and Cam Ward. You're inheriting that to a large degree, and you have to move past it. So we're going to talk about the techniques and what they're trying to do. And we're going to look through the prism of the Bears when we come back and work it back to Cam Ward. Stay tuned. Hour number 2 of DVD is coming up. Dmace, Vigan, and Donick coming your way from the Busy Bee the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. High Noon, our final day at High Noon. We're moving time slots starting on Monday. We'll be coming at you from 3 to 6. We're excited about it. We might even sleep in a little bit more. I don't know. Can we still do that?
No,
Am I allowed to do that?
I still got to work out. Willie, you got to work out.
Got to get up and work out.
Got to get up and work out.
You know, that is going to be my goal, is to get up and get my workout in before the show. You got to get it under your belt.
Exactly.
Before. So, I still like to do that when we're out, but I don't always get it in before 11 o'clock. Now, there's no excuse for not getting it in before 3. You got to get that
exactly.
I'll do it at like 7.
Yeah. Although I have to say, at the Y, where I go on the east side, it's pretty crowded. It is a hopping place, and so you go at 7, you get a little more choice of your stuff. You don't have to wait
just
in line.
Well,
you can go at
it should be more
9
open.
o'clock.
Yeah,
it closes at 9.
noon.
So,
it closes.
like Mahoney likes to go. He likes to go late. Like he went at like 8 last night. He'll
that's
go
my
from
son.
7
my
to
son
8.
to do the same thing.
Yeah, he likes to slip in there and there's nobody.
Because ain't nobody in there.
Yeah.
Yes.
So it can be a tactic that works, but I don't like sitting there at all day. I haven't got to work out. But yeah, we're changing the lifestyle a little bit, moving back to drive time. We're excited about it. Adam Vingan is going to rejoin us next week as well. And we are fired up. We are brought to you by and presented by Bet365. Whatever the moment, it's never ordinary at Bet365. We're going to go around the league a little bit. We got Ask Dmace at the bottom of the hour, so we want to get your calls and texts ready for him. You might have a dad joke or two. 615-737-1025. But we're continuing our discussion of Cam Ward, and we wanted to bring in a little outside perspective because there is a natural pull, gravitation towards, you hear everybody talking about the mistakes that he is making in practice, and you want to panic and you want to overreact. We have to check ourselves as well. But in evaluating, we're watching every play. All eyes are on him, and we're scrutinizing his game big time. So here is the perspective of a podcast that I really tune into, the MMQB, Monday Morning Quarterback is what it's an offshoot of Sports Illustrated. Connor Orr and Albert Breer are the hosts. Albert Breer was in Chicago to watch the Bears practice, or wherever they practice. I don't think they do it right in the city. They go outside the city, I think. But he watched Caleb Williams for one day. And he said, look, I'm buzzing in there and buzzing out to the next camp. I try not to put too much emphasis on what I see for one day. And, of course, I'm going to ask the coaches what I see. But listen to how similar this sounds, because Caleb Williams really struggled on the day that Breer was there. And he put it in context. They've got a new coach. Now, what is also the drama? The drama here for the Titans is Cam Ward was the first overall pick. They turned down multiple other picks to draft him because they thought he's the man. So much is riding on him. What's the drama with Caleb Williams that came out last week or last summer or last spring, I guess? He didn't want to be there. Yeah. The book comes out. Hey, the dad wanted to put him in the USFL. He wanted to pull the Bo Jackson. I'm not playing for the Bears. And of course, he didn't do it. But that didn't go over very well in Chicago. And what also happens in Chicago, they have fatalism. They have lost belief. They are diehard fans that keep coming back, but they have watched a lot of bad football. They turned over the coaching staff. They've got different guys in there. They shook it up in the middle of the season last year. They were a mess. And yet you've got this talent in Caleb Williams that they're trying to bring out the greatness in. So all that in the backdrop, Albert Breer goes to the practice and Caleb Williams doesn't look good. He's got a new offense that he's learning, and everybody up there is going, what's going on? The Bears never get it right. I can't figure this out. Why can they never get it right? But here, listen to how similar this sounds to what you're hearing from the Titans camp in the aftermath of why Caleb Williams is struggling in practice.
Ben Johnson is trying to force feed the offense to Caleb and trying to throw everything at him. And they went through the spring this way, and they started the summer this way. And it's, let's see what he can handle. Let's take the kid gloves off. let's give him everything.
And guess who else did that?
Huh?
Guess who made his bones as a coach doing that with the chaos drill? Dan Campbell. I mean, that's
right.
like, that's
right.
And it
right.
should look a little uncomfortable, right?
So,
it should look a little shitty.
So, and that's done where you're prioritizing his development, Caleb Williams' development, over what it looks like for someone like me. You know what I mean? Or what it looks like for a fan who's sitting there in the stands. And the idea is we're going to accelerate his learning by giving him a lot, seeing what he can handle. And then when we get closer to the season, we'll start to prioritize his performance and his confidence by narrowing down what we're doing to what we found he can do well. And it takes time to go through that, and it takes time to do that. And that context is important. It's just more difficult to pull that off in a place like Chicago, where every snap and every throw a young quarterback makes is going to be scrutinized like it's the third quarter of the Super Bowl. And so I think that part of it is, I think Ben has a very defined vision for what he wants to do and what he wants it to look like and how he's going to get there. And everything you hear talking to people in that building, and this is not coming from Ben himself, is how detailed the plan is, how everything is mapped out, and there's a way they're going to get to the opener, and there's a way they're going to get to where they want to be in October, and there's a way they're going to get to where they want to be at the end of the season.
Okay, so there's Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson was what? The offensive coordinator for the Lions, the most sought-after coach out there. So he has been brought in as the savior, the guru, the offensive mastermind that is going to bring out the best in Caleb Williams after it was a disaster last year. So what is his tactic? And it's very similar to Brian Callahan on some form. I think Ben Johnson probably had a little more hype, like a little more cachet.
Yeah.
Than Callahan, only because Ben Johnson was calling the plays.
Yes.
Right. But it sounds similar to what Brian Callahan is saying he's doing with Cam Ward. Throwing a lot at force feeding is the word that was used. Throwing a lot at him. Making it harder, chaotic, harder than it's going to be in the game. I hope that that's what they're doing with Cam Ward, because that is a philosophy that has worked. They're not spoon feeding it. They're giving it to him all at once. Does that sound familiar?
Yeah, it does. I mean, I think there's several ways, I guess, you can sort of approach a quarterback, but it seems like everyone now tends to, especially during camp, they tend to, force feed the individual and, see how much he can, keep down. And if he starts to, it starts to come up, then it's like, okay, we need to stop feeding him. Let's get down what we need to get down that he already has, but let's stop feeding him. And typically that comes during the season. Because you wanna, they do it to all the players, and don't just think that it's the quarterback. They're doing it to everyone, because you gotta the part about football, but that I don't think everybody may understand is this: you can't take the quarterback at one speed and everybody else at another speed, like the offense. If we're on offense, defense, you do what you're doing. But we're speaking offense. I can't hold back on this guy and then try to give this guy over here, force feed him. You got to force feed the quarterback, because in force feeding the quarterback, you're trying to see if everybody else understands and knows what's going on. Because if I'm just sitting here, slowly feeding, the quarterback, slowly giving him information, my wide receivers, they may be thinking like, man, give us more. We want more. Like, we can handle more. Like, I want to be able to have an offense where everybody can handle what I'm giving a quarterback. Meaning, if I give a quarterback 100 plays today, I should be able to get a wide receiver 100 plays, running backs, offensive line. I shouldn't give the quarterback 50, but I give you 100. Well, we ain't going to work on the other 50. If I'm giving him 50, I got to give you 50, which means I may be holding you up some. And I understand everything runs to the quarterback, but that's why the quarterback, you have to know as far as from how much he can retain, you have to know it early, because the more he retains, the better it is for everybody else. You know, if he can't retain it, it's hampering the other guys.
The other thing that I think is a byproduct of this, right? If this is their approach, and I think it is based on what Brian Callahan is saying, and based on what Denard Wilson's defense is about. It's about deception and blitzing, where it's, you're trying to fool the quarterback, trying to fool all the quarterbacks, not just the rookie quarterbacks.
No.
But when you see ugly practices, what happens? There's a lot of noise, and especially for a coach that doesn't have the big credibility yet. He hasn't won over the fan base. You have this worry and the fatalism, right? Let me give you another one. Another
example of it, huh?
It's Will Levis all over again. This is Dustin. It's Will Levis all over again. They kept saying Levis had bad practices, and I defended him. We believed. I also learned from Levis. Ward is going to be Levis 2.0.
Yeah.
I think he'll be worse. See, that's fatalism. And that's happening in Chicago. Chicago is even bigger city than Nashville, and they've had less success than the Titans. And so there's a lot of worry. And this is a guy that's coming in. This is a second-year quarterback and a first-year coach who's coming in with a lot of cachet, because the Lions have been one of the brightest stories in the game last year. But when it looks ugly in practice and the team hasn't been successful, they're going to have to overcome the noise that goes with throwing a lot at the quarterback and not worrying about whether practice looks good or not.
Yeah, that's not. I mean, you want practice to look good. You want practice to look crisp. You want there to be the chemistry with the quarterback and the receivers. You want that chemistry between the offensive line. That's how you envision practice going. But how practice really happens is not like that. Now, eventually you want to get to a point where there's more footballs in guys' hands rather than being on the ground, or there's more times Cam can release the ball and get it to the guy rather than him running around or being pressured. That's what you want to happen. And eventually I think, it will get there. But again, I don't think this is a Will Levis 2.0 by no means. But this is where the fan base is at. And we talked about this, weeks ago. And I brought it up. Like, are Titan fans, are they pessimistic because of what has happened with prior quarterbacks?
I just read you the text. There's no question he is, and I don't think he's the only person. We get texts like that all the time.
So we've discussed, like, this has been a thing, I believe, for a good while now, that no one has full trust in the Titans because of what has happened with prior picks. They may have a little trust in Brian Callahan, but even that is like, well, we don't trust the organization, period. So this is why we think the way we think. But I think you need to give, well, I'm not going to say you need to. I'd say this team is different from last year's team. I'm not going to, tag this team with last year's team. I'm trying not to drag anything from last year into
and
this
that's
year.
hard to get out of your head if you're a Titans fan.
Exactly. This is a different team, I think. I believe different quarterback, obviously, and I think your team is different when you put a different quarterback in there. That's just me. This team's different. They got a new GM. I think he looks at it different, possibly from the way Rand Carthon looked at it. So to me, this team is not the same team from last year. But I think the fan base is like, it doesn't matter. Some of the same people are here that were here last year. So they expect the same things that happen this year that happened last year. I get it, but let it play out first. Let camp play out and let it play out in preseason. And then as you get into the season, because there's going to be bumps and there's going to be hurdles, not just for this offense, but more importantly for Cam Ward. There's going to be those things. But we hope that he's prepared enough and developed enough where he can navigate himself through those things, out of those things, and put the Titans in a better position at the end of it. But only time will tell. But Titans fans are like, man, we ain't got time. And
Right.
which you have time, but I understand it. You don't have time because the season is coming up.
And there are worst to first stories.
Mm-hmm.
Look no further than Washington, and of course the year before Houston.
Mm-hmm.
And the Titans have been bad for a couple years. You want to start seeing progress, but as we've pointed out, they have not set the table on the surface here with a lot of young picks that look like they're coming into their own. They're limited in that area, as we've talked about with the various roster evaluations that are going on around the league. So with that in mind, we're going to phase into Ask Dmace in our next segment. And we want to keep the text line flowing, 615-737-1025. Or call. And I'm going to start the Ask Dmace with a story that we're going to send through the wide receiver translator because, everybody could use Terry McLaurin on their team. Washington is an interesting story where they went from bad to really good with a rookie quarterback. McLaurin had something to do with that, right? Yes. He's a really good player that has suffered through some really bad quarterbacks over the course of his career, and yet he still puts up pretty good numbers. So that's where we're going to start the Ask Dmates, and then we'll get at 12:30 to your calls and texts. So hit us up, 615-737-1025. I know you got a lot of questions for Dmace. It could be Titans related, and you can broaden. That's what we love to do with Ask Dmace, is you can ask him anything. You can tell him a dad joke. We might gong you. We might give you the Price is Right sad music.
Yeah, we got to come up with something when it ain't right. Not just wah, wah. Nah.
Right. So that's what you'll get. But sometimes that's good. Like sometimes it makes the dad joke better.
You kind of want that. You kind of want the
so bad
music.
It's good. Yeah, that could be a so bad it's good soundbite. But just hit us up, 615-737-1025. It's Friday. We're having fun. We're talking Titans training camp. So Ask Dmace is coming up right around the corner.
Dmace. He played 15 years in the NFL.
Quick throw. Touchdown, Garrett Mason.
He had over 12,000 receiving yards.
Midfield, and there he goes. 80 yards for the touchdown.
And now you can ask him anything. Have a question about football or life? Now's your time to ask Dmace.
We'll welcome you in.
Now,
Dmace.
on 102.5 and 106.3, The Game and the Game Nashville app.
It's Friday, and that means it's Ask Dmace. Hit the phones. Hit our text line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com, 615-737-1025. You can ask Dmace anything. Life problems,
Whatever
football problems, vent on you think the Titans are terrible, or be hopeful. You've got the blank canvas.
Mm-hmm.
You got it all. Hit the phones, and we will get a good discussion going with Dmace. So first, let's hit the wide receiver translator, because we've got a big time player. And look, it's fantasy season too. We need to start looking at our fantasy rosters. And Terry McLaurin has been a good, solid wide receiver for my team in past years. He's been around a long time. Here are some of the quarterbacks that have been throwing passes in the pre-Jaden Daniels era for Washington. Terry McLaurin, Taylor Heineke.
Oh, wow.
Sam Howell, Dwayne Haskins, may he rest in peace. Case Keenum, Alex Smith, Carson Wentz. Yes, Carson Wentz once played for Washington. I didn't remember that. Kyle Allen, Jacoby Brissett.
Wow.
Jacoby Brissett played for Washington. I didn't remember that.
Well, I guess
Colt McCoy, Garrett Gilbert. Who's that guy? I don't know.
Who?
Logan Thomas. Who's that guy? I don't know.
Don't know.
These are all people, and that's only since 2019. That doesn't even include, this is Bill Barnwell's tweet, this doesn't include Ryan Fitzpatrick's one game as the starter. Yes, Ryan Fitzpatrick, he played for every team.
Wow.
So Terry McLaurin has been catching passes from a lot of different quarterbacks. Now they've got the premier quarterback. Terry McLaurin wants he wants more money. He wants the cabbage.
He wants to get paid.
He wants to get paid. And it's not happening, so he has done the old-fashioned trade request. So, David, I know you're fielding calls right now. We got a lot of questions for Dmace. Can I get a wide receiver translator soundbite? Let me see. We want to make this official because yes, thank you.
Wide receiver translator.
All right, so how is this going to shake out?
With Terry McLaurin, if you're a Titan fan, and I am a fan of the team, even though, I got to give my opinion on the team, I'm a fan of the team still. If you're a fan of the team, don't expect this to happen with the Titans. I thought about it. I even sent y'all, and when I first saw it, I put Titans. But then as I thought about it, I don't think where McLaurin is and where the Titans are match up. I think McLaurin is a good receiver. He had a breakout season this year with 13 touchdowns. He may not be a high volume receiver in catches, or in just pure yardage, but last year he had 13 touchdowns. I think previous years he averaged 5, maybe 4 or 5. Last year was a breakout season, and obviously why? He finally has a quarterback. So when I look at McLaurin, I just don't think where he's at in his career and where the Titans are at and where they need to go, they don't match up right now. Right. If he was 27 years old, 26 years old, entering in that first contract, then yes, jump on it. But I don't think your paths match up. I don't think the timeline matches up great for a team, a player that wants to win now, and a team that is still struggling to put their roster together so they can have some winning seasons. And we don't know what they're going to look like now. So I think they will get things worked out in Washington with the Commanders.
Here's my question. Why in the world would they not just pay Terry McLaurin? I mean, he's really good. He's 29. He's always been with them. You know what he's going to give you. He had his best year, maybe his best year last year, right? 13 touchdowns.
Yeah, 13 touchdowns.
So why? What's the problem?
I'm not sure what the problem is here outside of. See, listen, they know him better than we know him. You know, so it's not injuries because he's been healthy the last 4 seasons. Now he's missed a total of 3 games in his career. The last 4 seasons, he's played all 17 games under the circumstances that he was playing with under, until last season when he got Jaden Daniels. I don't know. Maybe it's because there is a new regime, and I'm talking about owners, front office people. There is a new regime, and they've only been there now. It hadn't even been. It's been a full year now, a little bit over a year that this new regime has been in place.
It has, and here's what's interesting is you look a little deeper into this to try to answer my own question and reading what Barnwell's put in there. If you remember, the summer of A.J. Brown,
yes,
or the spring of A.J. Brown, I guess is what it was, the lead up to the trade, Terry McLaurin and Deebo Samuel and A.J. Brown were all among, and there might have been, was it Metcalf from Seattle? DK. They were the group of wide receivers that it seemed like they were banding together to say, we're changing the market for wide receivers. We're really good, and it's time for wide receivers to get more money and section of the pie. And McLaurin got it.
Yes.
He got a 3-year deal, and this is the last year of his deal in that. Now, he's a little bit older. He's going to turn 30 in September, but that's the backdrop of this. So they see a wide receiver turning 30 that wants big money. I don't blame him. I think he is a guy that deserves that next contract. I have faith that he's going to keep doing well. And ironically, who else is on his team this year? Deebo Samuel. Who had his mom on the podcast say, what did she say? Like, pay my son. Like,
give him the money, something like that. So,
and AJ was like, I like what she's saying.
Hey, McLaurin has what Hal has coined, get it done tivity. That's McLaurin. He just gets it done. It may not always be pretty. Last year was his breakout year in regards to touchdowns. Now, not yardage. Second year of his career was the breakout year for yardage, but last year was the breakout year for him in touchdowns. And honestly, outside of his rookie year, last year was the least most targeted he has been in a season outside of his rookie year. Last year was that year. But fans, listen, because I want to get to the rest of the calls. If you're a Titan fan, do not expect this to happen. It's not going to happen. I expect him to sign back with the Commanders, maybe another 3 or 4 year deal, paying him in upwards of, close to 30 million, if not 30.
Here's a marker for you. Calvin Ridley. Calvin Ridley is only 1 year younger. Or no, Calvin Ridley is about the same age as Terry McLaurin.
But it was different. They signed Calvin Ridley 2 years ago, last year.
Right. So Calvin Ridley was 1 year younger than Evans. Wait a minute. I lost. Oh, Mike Evans. So the thing is, these guys are older than Jamar Chase and some of the guys, Jefferson, who are getting these huge contracts. But the Calvin Ridley contract that the Titans signed to him, that they're in the second year of, 4 years, $92 million. So I'm sure Terry McLaurin saying, I'm better than Calvin Ridley.
Yeah, but it's not.
I need more than that. But so the Titans kind of overpaid for Ridley for what he is.
It's about
and so that's, I think, why Washington is sitting there going, I don't know if we want to give him that kind of money. And McLaurin saying, come on.
Well, Washington, this is what Washington didn't do it to your calls. I think this is what Washington believes. Yes, we have our quarterback now. And yes, we would like to have you, McLaurin, but maybe not at the price that you want, because we got our quarterback. We feel our quarterback can work with any receiver, where sometimes that may be the wrong approach to go about it. I'm not saying that that's Washington's approach, but that could be one of the, hey, we got a quarterback. He knows what he's doing. We would love you on our team, but not at the price possibly that you want. So, but I would be surprised if he leaves Washington via
they're going to get this done, right?
Yeah, I think they're going to get it done.
It's something to watch for, though. And those wide receivers that get around 30, can they keep going into that stage of their career? That's what separates the really good wide receivers from the ones that kind of fall off. Like Cooper Kupp is one that, huge seasons. Now his health going forward is a big question mark. We know when Julio Jones got to the Titans, he just was not the same Julio Jones that he was in the previous chapters of his career. All right, let's get Ask Dmace questions going right now. And let's start with Joey from Gallatin today. 615-737-1025. Joey, what's going on?
Hey guys. Hey Dmace.
Yes.
I called this morning, the whole Jared stuff going on. In regards to your career, playing against Ray Lewis versus playing with Ray Lewis, like, how do you see Jared in that regard as far as becoming a better, I don't know what you would consider yourself. I don't know your degrees as far as like a sports broadcaster personality. How do you feel like Jared has helped you in your career in that regard? Because you and him are two that I've most listened to over almost 8 years now. And I've always loved how you two will bounce things off each other. You'll question each other and push each other, but you've always had that respect there. I just, what kind of regards would you say Jared helped you in your career?
Thanks, Joey.
Thank you, Joey. I appreciate it. Again, Jared's, the way he approached his job, I think anybody can learn from that. Even if you are a stickler and you do your due diligence, if you're watching someone else do it too, there's always bits and pieces you can pull from that individual. And there were things that you pull from Jared but the biggest thing for me is just understanding why he sort of saw things the way he did. I may not have always agreed with it, but if I can understand why you're saying what you're saying, then okay, there may be a better chances at us agreeing to disagree, and there's no back and forth. So I was able to, just talking with her, able to understand why he thought the way he thought about particular things when it comes to the Titans or the Predators. So that was one of the things that I was able to, learn from Jared, or learn while Jared was on his station. He had his takes, but he would explain those takes to you, why he had them. Because sometimes people just give takes and then you ask him and it's like, but he had a reason, whether you agree with it or not. He had a reason why he said what he said, and that's helpful in a lot of ways.
All right, let's go to Ryan. Hey, Dmace, if you were camping, who was the one NFL player you would like to sit by the fire, past or present, and talk
shop with? Oh man, gosh, the one player that I would want to sit down with. I don't know, man. That's a you know what? It would probably be someone like Doug Williams.
That's
or
interesting.
Someone, because it's not just about football, it's about life. How do you navigate through this, especially from the quarterback position when at that time, African-American quarterbacks were looked at a lot different. And were not given, that extra, or was not, looked at as, being this superior athlete mentally. I would love to just sit down, whether him, Randall Cunningham, going back to some of the older quarterbacks. How did you navigate through that? Because to me, football is football. I get it. We can talk to X's and O's.
Right.
I mean, I could do that with it. I would love to sit down with I don't know if Bill Seiferd's alive. I mean, not Bill Seiferd, Bill Walsh. He's not alive.
Right.
I would have loved to sit down with Bill Walsh because he was one of the originators of this West Coast sort of offense that they run.
I love the historic part of it for sure. NFL Network does a lot of biography kind of things called A Football Life. I recently saw the one on Doug Williams. It was really, really good. That is really good.
And then Warren Moon sitting down with.
Yeah.
I saw this. I was able to watch the story of Warren Moon, and this was maybe a year ago during the summer, and it was a fascinating story because I never heard it from that standpoint. He was telling it. I never heard it. So it was fascinating. Another guy and I was just thinking about the name Greg Cosell.
Yeah.
I would love to because I got a chance to just be with him on the sideline the other day and just listen to him, like talk about ball. It was like, wow, I could sit here and talk. It was like, it reminded me.
He's unique.
Yeah, it reminded me today that I went to go see a doctor today, and because I got some tests done, and it's a cardiologist, and we started talking about just the heart and whatnot, and mine was great. But it was interesting to just listen to him talk about that. Like, that stuff is interesting. So I would love to sit down with him, Dr. Kevin, sit down with him more, him and Dr. Russ, more about what makes the heart really tick. So people like, Greg Cosell, Doug Williams, guys like that, really Doug Williams, because he's going to give me more than just football.
Yes. When we come back, we're going to find out. This is another texter's question for Ask Dmace. Who does Dmace think has been the brightest spot? He says, we've been very negative on the Titans. I want to know who Dmace thinks. Too negative. Who has been the brightest spot that you've seen at training camp so far? We'll get Dmace's answer in our second half of Ask Dmace coming up next here on DVD.
Ain't no half stepping. I'm ready. Boy,
There is no
88.
half stepping on Ask Dmace.
Absolutely,
We're
no
coming at you full throttle here on DVD. Ask Dmace on a Friday. 615-737-1025. We might extend Ask Dmace.
Yeah, I think
it
we should.
might be.
People
It's
are calling
August
in,
1st. We
texting.
got a lot of questions here. A lot of good
Is it
questions
August
we got.
1st already?
It's August 1st.
Wow.
It's the
July
first
is
of the
history.
month.
Man.
July is history.
See ya.
So when we went in the break, the question was, we've been very negative on the Titans. There's been a lot of putting Cam Ward under the microscope. What's the brightest spot on the team you've seen so far?
Today was even though there were moments, and we talked about the sidearm, but there were also good moments too with Cam Ward, with the quarterbacks. So it's not all doom and gloom, people. Is a ever sort of up and down roller coaster, especially in camp. That's how it's going to be. You got some good, you got some bad, then you got some in the middle. We want to have more good than bad. But I think Femi, you're starting to, see him sort of, I think he's starting to feel himself in a sense of he's starting to get a little bit more comfortable at what he's doing. Because they're going to need him. They're going to need him to develop sort of like Cam is developing, because they need those sacks. They need to put pressure on the quarterback. So they need Femi to develop at a pace that they're hoping Cam develop. I know he's not Cam Ward, and I know they can get by probably without him developing possibly as quickly, but you have to start with thinking, because we need to generate sacks, Femi has to be that guy that development needs to happen a lot quicker. Chestnut, I talked about Chestnut today. Chestnut, he looks good, man. TD told me he slimmed down some. He has good feet. He moves. There's quickness and fluidity in his movement.
So you think he could get into this mix as a running back? Because he's been around for a while.
He's been around, and sometimes
we know he's going to have some good runs in the preseason games.
Absolutely, and he's a good special teams player. But
did somebody I know you and TD were talking. B-Hop was over there.
Yeah.
Natron Means, is that who
you're
talking about?
They called him the Natron Means last year when he was a little thick. Yeah.
Okay,
Chestnut.
so he's a slimmed down Natron Means.
Yeah, when he got here. But now he's
so
slimmed
that's
down.
A 90s reference.
For those that don't know. Natron Means San Diego Chargers, now the LA Chargers. But I'm looking at him, and I think his role can expand in this offense, because I think he gives you a little bit of both Tajay Spears and Pollard, meaning he gives you that strength that Pollard gives you, the running between the tackles, but he also can give you that elusiveness that Tajay gives you as well. So he's the perfect sort of blend of both. That's why, to me, he's a guy that I think is going to find more playing time than he has in previous seasons. Because, the young man looks good. It seems like he's moving within the offense well. And I just, and there's a few guys that I hope really gets an opportunity. But I do hope Chestnut is able to, because I think he's proven that he belongs in this league.
They could use a guy out of nowhere like him becoming a really good player. We'll see. Let's go back to the phones driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. Let's go to Doug, who's up next. Doug, welcome to the show. You're on DVD. What do you got for Dmace?
Good morning, man.
What's going on?
I know with all the things that are going on, you guys need a little laughter. Jared's gone, but it's not a bad thing. It's just change. So I've got a dad joke. And you've got to be a real dude to know how to take this joke. So here's the joke. You got a father that goes shopping, let's just say Buc-ee's, Sam's, some of the bigger stores. Every time he goes, he has to page his son to come back to him. And security always asks the same questions: what clothes, how tall, and they also asked, does he go by a nickname? The dad said, yeah, I call him Crescent Wrench. I said, why do you call him Crescent Wrench? Because he's always slipping off.
What you give that, David? I
liked it. It was so
okay.
He asked me before. I was like, that was a good one.
It may go over some people's heads. but I like it.
You can usually count on Doug
Yeah,
for some good
yeah.
comic relief.
Doug's usually really good for
Yeah,
us.
yeah. So
We got this one from Alex. Hey, Dmace, there seem to be some people rooting against Ward like Rex Road because of the draft projection. He's not as good as last year's QB class, all the things you hear. And next year's QB class is better. Do you think that's the case? I don't think anybody's rooting against Cam Ward.
Yeah.
That's not how it is. But journalistically, we are pointing out things that are consensus. And all of those things, those themes, that's the story, right? We're just telling the story. That's my take anyway. You tell me what you think.
Yeah, I don't believe that Rex Road or anybody, I hope, but anybody wants to see Cam Ward fail or are looking for him to fail, at least on this radio station. Let's say that in this 102.5 Cromwell family, I don't think anybody wants Cam Ward to not succeed. But I think that what you are saying, Willie, what Rex says, Joe, or anybody, you have to look at, he may not, and I don't care, because my thing is Cam didn't commit himself to last year's draft, so we don't know what the evaluation would have been. We don't know if he would have got drafted in front of Drake May or Penix, or guys like that. I knew he wasn't going to get drafted over Caleb Williams. Nobody did. But we don't know if that would have happened. But based on the data that we got from the grades last year and the data from the grades this year, the guys, that's why, Willie, you would say, well, I would have took the picks because he doesn't even grade higher than the other guys that came out. I would have taken all the picks and then waited till next year to get my guy. Maybe that's Joe's sort of approach to it. And I get it, because the analytics are telling you that last year's crop was better than the first overall guy. Those are numbers. I'm not going to dispute them. But what I go to, like, I'm going to start using this more. I like Hal did. It's like, get it done, Tivity. He got it done in college. He got it done at Incarnate Word. He got it done in Washington State. Got it done in Miami. I know they didn't win a championship at either place, but that team, that program, we can call them organizations now because that's what these
kind of what
teams,
they are now.
They
have
became
GMs.
Exactly. They became
payrolls.
a better team when Cam Ward got there. So everybody that thinks that that they should have took the picks, it's not necessarily because they want Cam to fail, because they just look at it from a standpoint.
That's the thing.
Yes.
That is going to be the misconception. It
Yes.
doesn't, and I do think there are sports talk show hosts that just want to be right.
Exactly.
That they look for reasons why. Oh, let me show you why I'm right. I'm not that guy,
Exactly.
and I am going to stand by. I thought they should have taken the picks, but at the same time, I hope Cam Ward proves me wrong, and I will be raising my hand saying I was wrong if Cam Ward ends up being what they hope he will be. Another texter says, Dmace, who's more likely to cut their head while shaving it? You, Willie, Robbie, Big Joe, or Adam? Adam for sure.
Adam for sure.
It's a no doubt.
We could have fit. I was just saying Adam. As soon as you said who would be more likely to cut their their bald head while shaving, Adam.
Yeah. You could throw Dmace in there.
Exactly.
Throw David in.
I did actually cut my
Why are y'all shaving with straight razors?
I just like a clean bald head.
No,
That's
you
what
still
it is.
okay. Okay.
I don't do that.
Here is how you get the perfect, cleanest bald head without the nicks, blood running down your neck.
Not talking about the New York Knicks. We're talking about the blood.
Band-Aids on the top of your head or your forehead. This is what you do. You get you some clippers, some edgers, because they're typically the sharper ones. You get you some clippers, oil them up real good. Use that to cut your hair, cut it bald. Then take the electric razor, which you got to charge up, which has a covering over it that protects you from the blades. Go across your head. It will feel as if you put a razor on your head without the razor cutting you. So,
Listen, I'm new to this ball.
But
this,
I'm
all
giving
right?
you- I'm
I'm
giving
new
you-
now. I'm new.
Hey,
So
listen.
give me some break.
Welcome.
I'm
It
giving
took-
you a-
It takes us a while to accept it and get into the club, but once
it
you're
took me a
there,
while.
I'm giving you
It's a
$1
brotherhood.
million worth of game for $9.99.
You know
okay?
what? I
There
appreciate
you go.
$3.99.
There you go. There you go. I'm giving you $1 million, $2 million worth of game, but only charging you $9.
$2 million.
Yes, there you go.
see,
So take
these
it.
are the things we
Matter of
learn.
fact, I'm giving it to you for free.
Free 99, baby.
These are the things we learn on Ask Dmace.
Exactly.
Isn't this great? All right, we're going to come back. We'll do a little bonus Ask Dmace. We got a few more questions I want to get in there. We've got a lot more coming. We'll take it to the bank at 1:45. So we've got our final hour of the midday, because we are moving on to prime time, drive time on Monday. Adam will be back with us next week. DVD is moving from here to 3 to 6 starting next week. So we are looking forward to that for sure. 615-737-1025. It's driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com. The final hour of DVD is coming up. Dmase, Vingen, and Donick coming down the home stretch here on this Friday. Everybody looking forward to the weekend. We're broadcasting from the Busy Bee Plumbing, Heating, and Air Conditioning Game Nashville Studios, home of the $99 yearly Beehive membership, where the buzz is always about great service. Adam Vingen will rejoin us next week when we move to our new time slot. We're going to go from 3 to 6 starting on Monday. We're looking forward to that opportunity. We're excited to compete in the Big Fish Bowl. Drive time. Oh, yeah. We're ready for it. We're continuing to talk some Titans with you as our Titans coverage of Titans training camp presented by Macero in 12 South and Parman Energy Group. Dmace, before we get back to some holdover questions for Ask Dmace, let's just recap what we saw this morning in practice. An unexpected practice for the Titans. Calvin Ridley with the cramps the other day did not practice. They said it was precautionary rest, not an injury situation. They confirmed that it was cramps that had him go off the field a little bit early the day before. Meatloaf, T. Sweat, also did not practice today, but not any kind of big concern.
No.
But they did get to work. It was cooler out today. You and I were out there once again. We watched Cam Ward very closely, watched the defense. They were working a lot on third downs today. Cam Ward, I thought, was sharper than he was the previous couple of days where he clearly struggled, but there were still some things that concerned you.
Yeah, there were. And again, if you didn't hear earlier in the show, these are minor right now. This is just, let's pay attention to this. That's what it is. Let's just pay attention to it. I'm going to mention it. Don't really want to make a huge deal about it, but let's keep our eye on it. It's the low balls that are being thrown, the balls that are being batted down or hitting, defenders at the line of scrimmage. A lot of it is these sidearm throws, these low angle throws that he's making. And, they found their way, hitting, a defensive player. One caused an interception, not today. I think it's the other day. But I've just seen too many for my liking. That's why now I'm gonna start really paying attention to it and hoping that, as you move further in practice, that these things will not occur at the frequency they are occurring now. Again, this is something we just need to watch. It's not like I'm being overly critical of Cam Ward. It's just, I understand in this business that when you get to that next level, there are things you don't know that you will know eventually. And I think those are one of the things that Cam Ward, there's one thing to, think this is what it's going to be, but there's another when you actually have to go through it. And I like his response as far as like the confidence, like I can do it all. I'm not worried about it. I've been doing it for the longest. I understand that part, but we also gotta, as athletes and as in his position, he had to understand if you want to last in this league a long time, then you're gonna have to. There are things you may have to tweak and change, especially as you start to figure out the game more. You want to change and evolve as the game is changing and evolving. As a matter of fact, you want to be ahead of the game. The great ones are ahead of the game. Just look at all the great ones. When you talk about a guy like Peyton Manning, you talk about how cerebral he was. He was ahead of the game. He's ahead of the game. Tom Brady, ahead of the game. Guys like that.
And Manning still led the league in interceptions.
Exactly. He still led the league. Yeah.
Here's what I wonder about Mahomes. Because remember,
Mahomes ahead of the game.
But remember, they sat Mahomes for a year. So he watched Alex Smith for a year. But I wonder, like, when Patrick Mahomes, with all the arm angles, was in training camp and in practice, I wonder what he had to learn about how to do it, because he obviously does it better than anybody's ever done it before.
Yeah, but all his passes are not like that. He does it when he needs to.
Yes,
I think.
So what's the difference in Ward? You're saying he throws?
I think now
he drops down when he doesn't need to.
Yeah, I think now he's figuring out when I don't need to use it.
Okay.
If our listeners can understand that, it's like when I'm doing something,
because he throws some sidearms passes that look good.
Yeah, they look good. So
But he does get him knocked down.
Even
sometimes.
though I know I've been doing this for the longest, how do I now do it at this level? That's sort of like the answer I got to figure out as a quarterback. How do I do it at this level? Not to say I can't do it, but every defensive player damn near on the edge, 6'3", 6'4", and can come at you like a bullet out of a chamber. Just about every defensive end or linebacker, like you didn't have that in college. You didn't have guys at that caliber week in and week. You're seeing them week in and week out. In college, you may have seen them every third or fourth game, if that. So him figuring it out, that's why to me is something I'm just monitoring. Not overly, aggressive with it. I'm just monitoring it and hoping that as he develops and mature, that will develop and mature in his game.
Let's go to Eric, who has been waiting patiently. Eric, welcome into the show.
First of all, guys, I'm looking forward to Monday it being in drive time, and I'm hoping that this segment continues.
Oh, we will have Ask
ain't going
Dmace.
nowhere.
We will have Ask Dmace, no question.
Yeah, and before I get to my Ask Dmace, I do have a dad joke.
Go ahead.
Let's bring it.
What is a pirate's favorite fish?
Pirate's favorite fish.
Favorite fish or dish? Fish?
Fish. F-I-S.
I'm trying to think of something like R in it.
All right, give it to us.
It's a goldfish.
I like that. That is a quintessential dad joke.
I loved it.
That's a good dad joke.
Even though that's the second time I ever got the Price is Right sound.
Yes, that was a dog. That was a dad's joke right there.
Yeah. Hey, if I ask Dmace question to you, Dmace, is this. Of course, you've got, training camp start up, preseason, all that type of stuff, preseason games. But the thing I want to ask you is, what was the most thing that you loved about the preseason doing, or as far as training camp, and what was the thing that you couldn't stand that just drove you crazy, that you hated every year you had to do for the preseason? Guys, in training camp, guys, as always, it's a pleasure to talk to you. Y'all take care, and we'll talk again soon.
All right, Eric, thanks.
I love training camp, but I dislike training camp too because it was long. Our camps were long, and we had legitimate two-a-days. We didn't get many days off. So as much as I loved training camp, like I loved practice, I loved training camp, but as much as I loved it, it was also that, oh man, we're still here, because things become redundant, and it just seems like Groundhog's Day, especially when it's hot, and you got to be out there 2.5 hours, each time you go out there, and some days were better than others, but man, as much as I loved it, I hated it because it was almost that initial, the part that I really disliked, it was after about a week and your body's sore and you got to when you get up early in the morning, that is the worst feeling, Willie. And I know you felt that feeling in college.
Oh, yeah.
That after about 4 or 5 days in camp, that 7th day or 6th day, you get out of the bed and it's just like, oh, can I just sit down? Can I lay down for another hour? But you can't. You got to get back out there. That's the part that
you feel like you're not going to be able to move. You're not going to be able to run.
That's the part
somehow
that
your body just gets going.
It gets going again. So that's the part that I really hated. Get my body going again after we had been in, camp in 2 days over a week.
Let's go to Wes in Hermitage, our next caller here on our phone line, driven by WilsonCountyHyundai.com.
Good afternoon, guys. How y'all
Wes.
doing on this wonderful Friday?
Hey, we're doing great.
So I got a dad joke for you as always. It's a one-liner, so y'all gotta pay attention. I hope y'all get this one. You should. Y'all are used to me by now.
Go ahead.
Of all the inventions of the last 100 years, the dry erase board has to be the most remarkable of them all.
I'm sorry, Wes.
All right. Okay. All right.
Yeah, it's okay.
Remarkable. Okay. I just did my dry erase board the other day. I was redoing my calendar. So I was.
So look, man, I
was
have a
remarking
question for you today. and yeah, this is Ask Dmace. I guess this is more Ask both of you guys. And I know there's a lot of changes going on. So if you opt out of this, I'm not going to hold it against you. But you've been around this city for a long time, Dmace. So your opinion matters to everybody in this town listening right now. Out of all the people that you've worked with and not worked with, this station and other stations, who is the best radio broadcaster in this beautiful city of Nashville? Y'all have a great Friday.
Oh man, myself? No, I'm not gonna go down there. No, I mean, listen, there's a bunch of guys and girls that do a great job. I can't sit down here and pinpoint one. I love George, Willie, obviously, anybody that's on the radio. I love Jared. I love listening to him. Even though I would rag him too. I loved listening to Jared. On my ride home after our show. So I mean, it's hard to tie me down, and I'm sorry, Wes, it's hard to tie me down to just one individual people. But listen, I love the people that I work with. They're great at their job. And it'd be unfair for me to say, oh, it's just this one guy. No, it's the whole team, so.
Yeah. I look at it as our station lineup. I like our lineup. And it is going to be different. I look at a lineup of, you got a lot of flavors of ice cream that you need to make a good station. And within that station, on your show, you need different ingredients. I think we have really good chemistry. Myself, Dmace, Adam, I think we have fit very, very well. And I think we're going to carry that to our new time slot really well. We're very confident, and it's our goal to compete and do really well, make the station better. And that being said, when you're looking at individual hosts, we're all different flavors. And we realized too, like we had a question on our text line that I hadn't read, but it's a good one. Like, who's going to be the heel on the station? It's a great question. It's a question that our station is talking about as we speak, right? As philosophically, because if you have not heard the news, why we're moving, a lot of you probably already know this by this time, but Jared and the station are parting ways. So Jared was the heel, right? We know that. Jared lightened up all the other shows because we were ganging up on him, or he was taking issue with something we said. We understand that you need that ingredient. You need that flavor of ice cream. The way we're going to do our show is completely different than the way he has done his show and will continue to do shows wherever he ends up. So we will adjust accordingly. That's what you do, right? That's how business works. It's like a football team. A guy retires, guy gets traded. You find the next guy that can do the job. So that's what we're going to try to do. Another theme that I want to hit you with, Dmace, because we talked about this a lot earlier in the show, and that is the concept of trying to throw a lot at a young quarterback and move and deal with the noise that you get of, hey, Cam Ward threw a pick 6 today, which he did. Or, hey, Cam Ward's thrown 6 interceptions or 7 interceptions, which he has the last few days. But the trade-off that is not as sexy is, and it's hard for the fans to see. And a lot of fans aren't seeing these practices. They're hearing us talk about, hey, Cam Ward struggled, or this. We're not able to give you, and you can't see as a listener, the context of what's happening in practice. But what Brian Callahan has said pretty extensively is they're throwing a lot at him. They feel like he can take the struggles at practice, and that's going to make him better. We also gave you an outside reference of what's going on in Chicago. Caleb Williams has his new coach, who they got from the Lions, and he's tasked with fixing Caleb Williams after a struggling rookie season. The same kind of thing is happening. But can you deal with the noise and the fatalism that a lot of fans have because these franchises are struggling? That's why they had the first pick. So we had this text by TD. This is not Teron Davenport, I don't think. This is another TV. I don't think it's Tony Dorsett either. He says, I say throw everything except the kitchen sink at Cam at practice. See what he can handle. Find his strengths and weaknesses. Make him work to get better. Do you agree with that philosophy?
Yeah. I mean, you're gonna have to. I mean, we're saying all these things, that's because it's like we're seeing it. Not like we are seeing it in real time. So we're just making note and talking about what we're seeing. But you're right. A quarterback has to develop, and we all know that. But also in the development phase, we got to talk about it, right? We got to talk about the good and the not so good.
All right. When we come back, we're going to go around the AFC South. We're going to tell you what's going on in some of the other camps. We'll talk Travis Hunter. We'll see what's happening in Indy, what's happening with Anthony Richardson. These are the teams. And, of course, Houston has been the division champion the last couple of years. What's cooking down there? We'll go around the AFC South when we come back here on DVD. And let me tell you, as we move on, remember, Nashville's best deal is Prince's Hot Chicken. Nashville's original hot chicken, bursting with heat and flavor. There's nothing better than the original. For a limited time, grab half off a $25 gift card at thegamenashville.com/deals.
Happy Friday, everyone. Derek Mason here. And if you've injured yourself in a motorcycle accident, go to lawtigers.com for your free case evaluation. Even if your accident was months ago, you have nothing to lose by calling Law Tigers for a free case evaluation. Insurance companies want to pay out as little as possible, or frankly, nothing at all. Law Tigers make sure you get the compensation you deserve and doesn't get paid until your case has been settled. They understand how much your bike gear is worth to you and help you get it all replaced or repaired, or better yet, replaced. Law Tigers is the resource the motorcycle community turns to when in need. So whether it's to support you at an event or if they see you broken down on the side of the road, with Law Tigers, you'll never ride alone. So call 1-800-LAW-TIGERS or visit lawtigers.com. Law Tigers is powered by Freeman and Fusen, and you can find them in Nashville at 2126 21st Ave South. That's Law Tigers, Tennessee's motorcycle lawyers.
DVD continues here on 102.5 The Game. We were going to go around the AFC South, but we got a couple of big stories that have just hit. Willie Donick, Derek Mason here with you. So Micah Parsons has come out with a long note that he has posted, and it's basically he's fed up with the Cowboys, and I have not read the whole thing, but he wants out. And this has been brewing for a while, and he sort of pours his heart out. It's long. This would take me too long to read on the air, but I look around and I'm like, what are the Cowboys going to do about this? Remember last year, we were even talking about, we spent some time on the show last year leading up to the draft, talking about the Titans trading the first pick in the draft for Micah Parsons and XYZ in all of our wild things you could do when you have the first pick. And this was kind of brewing on underneath the surface, and here we are. So Micah Parsons and the Cowboys are at odds for sure. I don't know what to make of it beyond that.
Me either. I mean, Jerry Jones have said some things that, that maybe Parsons didn't like, or, his son had said some things that Parsons didn't like. So now I guess he wants out of there. He's had enough. Now, will that happen? That's yet to be seen. I'm not sure if Jerry Jones might just end up paying him. I'm not sure you can afford to give away or trade away a guy like Michael Parsons.
Yeah, but at this point, who could trade and you could get how could you get any value back for him? I'm looking at Ian Rappaport's reaction to this. It's a detailed takedown from Parsons on how the Cowboys have handled business, who wanted and Parsons wanted nothing more than to be a Cowboy. So I'll just read you a little bit of it. Yes, I wanted to be here. I did everything I could to show that I wanted to be a Cowboy and wear the star on my helmet. I wanted to play in front of the best fans in sports. You notice that every player on every team likes to say, I play for the best fans in sports.
Yes.
The team my pops and I grew up cheering for in Harrisburg, PA. Unfortunately, I no longer want to be here. I no longer want to be held to closed-door negotiations without my agent present. I no longer want shots taken at me for getting injured while laying it on the line for the organization, for our fans, and for my teammates. I no longer want narratives created and spread to the media about me. I had purposely stayed quiet in hopes of getting something done. But since there is confusion out there, let me clear some things up. And he goes on and on and on. So here we go. Micah Parsons, who is a fabulous player. Arguably, at least at some points of his career, the best defensive player in the league, right? Arguably. Now, Micah Parsons is 26 years old. So it's not like he's doing this at age 30. We talked about Terry McLaurin and his request for a trade. Micah Parsons wants to get paid the buku, right?
Yes.
So we talked about this yesterday around this time. Should the Titans consider trading Jeffrey Simmons? The Cowboys might be forced to at least see what the trade market is for Micah Parsons. So he's 26. He's younger than Jeffrey Simmons. He's coming off a year where he had 12 sacks. So these are his sack totals in 4 years. 13 and a half, 14, 12. And we know that that's just the tip of the iceberg.
Man, you don't
right?
trade
It's not
it,
all.
You better be getting like 4 first-round draft picks.
Well, they don't want to trade him.
Yeah.
But they can't come to a deal. And now you've got him pouring his heart out on social media saying, I'm fed up. So I
don't blame
can
him.
this be fixed?
I'm sure it will. And I mean, people thought, when with Cleveland, Myles Garrett, when he said, I want it out of Cleveland, because he wanted a trade because they were not paying him at the time. And magically, a week or two later, hey, Cleveland is the best place in the world. Why? Because you signed that new deal. I think, man, this is all about money. And I'm not trying to downplay Michael Parsons' commitment or his desire to be, in Texas with the Cowboys, and he explained it. But make no mistake, once if they can find a number that both people agree upon, Micah Parsons will be back in the Dallas Cowboy uniform. I can't see him not being in the Dallas Cowboy uniform. The only way they give up on him is because they would have him essentially, Willie. They could franchise tag him, so they could have
This
him
is the
essentially
problem.
for 3 more years almost under contract.
So
2 to 3 years. So I think they're going to work out something, but this is just it's unfortunate.
He is under contract for this year.
Yeah.
He clearly wants the next deal. Like
this is the last year of his deal.
Yes.
They can franchise tag him.
This is the 5th-year option. Basically.
They can franchise tag him. He play under the franchise tag. If they can't work out a deal, I'm not sure how the franchise worked for the second go around or what happens typically. I think they could franchise tag him again.
Well,
they're not.
But this is one of the things that a player like in his situation has to determine. And that is it worth sitting out? Because that's the only leverage he has. And he is good enough to where I think the team remember who was the running back? I'm forgetting his name. The running back from Michigan State for the Steelers. Bell.
Le'Veon Bell. I was Le'Veon.
He did it. He said, "I'm sitting out. You need me,
and
you will pay me."
Wrong.
And
he played his cards
wrong. It backfired. Right? He sat and he was a guy that
he was the best back in the league.
He won me my fantasy league the year before. He was awesome. And then he sat out however many weeks, and he lost a lot of paychecks, and he did not come out ahead. Micah Parsons is a different level player. A holdout could be effective for him. But now he's saying he doesn't even want to be there. So I don't see at this point how you could trade him, because I just don't know if a team is going to change everything they're doing and offer a huge offer for him with what you would have to give up. So this is going to be really interesting. So he says, I have submitted my trade request to Stephen Jones personally. Okay. To be determined what happens here. So that will give the league, that will give the media something to deal with and chew on. Speaking of the media, the other big story that just hit, the NFL and ESPN. Now listen to this closely, because it has, I think, far-reaching implications. The NFL and ESPN have reached, this is according to Andrew Marchand from The Athletic, they have reached a blockbuster agreement that will place many of the league's top media holdings with the sports network in exchange for equity in ESPN that is potentially worth billions. This is the sources that have told Andrew Marchand. The official announcement is expected next week. Disney, ESPN's parent company, has its earnings call on Wednesday. Nobody's commenting on this yet. The discussions about the monumental deal were on and off for 4 years and have resulted in what is said to be a complicated agreement, according to the sources. Now, listen, this is how it affects you, the fan. ESPN is expected to have access to Red Zone, NFL Network, 7 more regular season games, the NFL's fantasy football business, as well as the potential to integrate special features, aka betting, and potentially more assets. The agreement coincides with ESPN's forthcoming direct-to-consumer service that will formally launch in the next few weeks. So if you want to bypass, if you're a cord cutter and you just want everything ESPN has to offer, they're going to sell this for $29.99 per month. So you can bypass cable or satellite providers to watch all ESPN programming at $29.99 per month, including live games through ESPN's app. Viewers who already have access to ESPN's network, if you do have cable, satellite, bundled streaming, all of these other things, you will be also able to watch ESPN through the new app. But the first question that comes to my mind, Dmace, on this is you already have a partnership between ESPN and the NFL. That's been there for a long time. But now, really, they are heavily in bed together. And we just had a story the other
Yes.
day that we were talking about as far as journalistic things that come up. Very controversial story about the owners and the collusion and the scandal within the NFL's Players Association. And we noted how little ESPN is really talking about it when I think it's a really big story. Now you really worry. What kind of journalistic angle will ESPN use about the NFL when essentially what is happening is the NFL Network and ESPN are kind of one and the same? Is how I read into that some.
Yeah.
Can you really have
No, you can't.
Hard-hitting stories and
You
things like
can't.
that? That's a tough one.
You would hope that they would still be able that will not affect their ability to cover the sport the way they need to cover it, because this isn't the first time the ESPN has been in bed with a big entity like a sports entity. But it is kind of funny that they really had mentioned this whole collusion thing, as much in the on ESPN or matter of fact any other conglomerate that has tentacles to the NFL. They don't want to touch it. Why? Because this is our partners, and we don't want to bring any more, negativity. Because what does that do? That turns off a portion of the fan base. You don't want fans to start cutting off the television because and that's the way you should. But we haven't heard as much as we thought we would hear about this whole NFLPA collusion stuff. It was basically they put it out and then everybody else went mute about it. They talked about other stuff, but they didn't talk about that. They talked about the guy spending money at the strip club and all this other stuff, but they didn't get into the collusion. They didn't talk about that. That's because, listen, the ESPN and the NFL, they're partners. And, we can talk about our partners behind closed doors amongst us, but we ain't talking about our partners in the streets. That's with any relationship. Like, we can talk amongst one another. As my mama used to say, what stays in his house, what goes on in his house, what we talk about stays in his house. And I'm sure that's what the ESPN is like with the NFL. Whatever we talk about, we may hate what happened, but we ain't going to sit here and be having all of our hosts talk about it.
And at the same time, the importance of journalism.
Yes.
It's
but
in the
journalism
whole,
has
whole
been
world.
tested. It has been tested so much.
And really in all facets,
yes.
right? But it's important.
Exactly.
And that is something we'll watch. And just as a fan, the Red Zone, I do enjoy watching the Red Zone. And now I got to recalibrate. I think everybody does. Like, okay, ESPN's got the Red Zone. Can I get the Red Zone? Do I need to get the $29.99? This is a pretty major story here for sure. So, two big stories. Micah Parsons has gone public, and it is a pour your heart out kind of, I wanted to be a Cowboy, and now I don't want to be a Cowboy. What do the Cowboys do with Micah Parsons? And who will offer a trade? That is going to be crazy. And now this whole story of ESPN and the NFL basically partially merging. There's a equity stake that the NFL is going to have with ESPN, and ESPN is going to gain some properties in there. The NFL Network and Red Zone being at the height, at the top of that list.
So what does that do? Probably nothing at all. What
also the gambling aspect in this should not be overlooked.
No,
right? You got
absolutely.
a league and ESPN, and
Now
they're saying, "Hey, you got our gambling operation." Like that's going to have to be heavily policed, right?
Yeah, I'm sure
there's a lot of pitfalls that could go with that.
Yeah, and I'm sure that's probably the least of the NFL's problems. But we have seen guys, because of the gray lines or the gray areas, they found themselves, suspended because of gambling. And it's not like they were gambling on the games. It's just they gambled on NFL grounds, which means they made a bet while still doing something that the NFL, was controlling. So, yeah, but I wonder how this is going to, we see how it's going now, but I wonder how this, how much is it going to change? Because does it change pricing? with the red zone, now that now that they are sort of in this merger together, does it affect your red zone package or any other package that you get?
Yeah. What if you already get the red zone?
Exactly.
These are questions that will sort themselves out. This is still got to be approved and things like that. So it's not going to go in effect tomorrow or anything like that. But we'll learn more of this in the coming weeks. So already some people on our text line are saying, "Hey, Titans, let's trade for Parsons." Lester says, "Parsons request trade from Cowboys. Titans should trade Simmons for Parsons."
Dallas ain't going for that. Dallas ain't going for that.
Dallas is going to say, keep talking. What else are you
on.
offering?
I like Jeffrey, but keep going some more. You got to
That's
add
a
some
start.
more.
Sweat too? Yeah.
And I'd be looking at the Titans like, nah, I think y'all need to pump y'all brakes. You can't give away both of them.
Coy and Clarksville, please get Micah Parsons. Well, that would be nice to get him. But are you trading your next 2 first-round picks? Are you trading Jeffrey Simmons and next year's first-round pick? This is where, again, we come back to what assets do you have? The Titans are low on assets. They chose, for better or worse, to take the quarterback and not build assets to where you probably could have this discussion if you had taken the Giants deal and then kind of weighed, is it worth it? Now, Micah Parsons, the thing that's unique about him is most players who get into this situation are older. He is only 26. So that is intriguing. And so I think there's some teams right now who probably have already thought about it, but now that they see this, they're kind of going back into the room going, what would we give up for Parsons? How much does one player make a difference? For the Titans right now, I think the answer is pretty easy. Even if you had Micah Parsons, it doesn't make you great. You still aren't going to be where you need to be. They're not one player away, even as great as Parsons is. For other teams, it might be a little different. We'll talk more about this. We got a lot of people giving their proposed trade package for Parsons. So keep those coming. We'll read a few of them when we come back. 615-737-1025. We'll also take it to the bank for our final segment of the week. Stay tuned. We're coming back with more of DVD. It is going to be time to take it to the bank in just a moment. Brought to you by F&M Bank. Banking made easy on purpose. Take it to the bank will be official when we start our season here soon. The clock has turned to August now, the calendar. And so we will have another fun season where we actually keep score. So we're still sort of in the preseason of this, and Adam will rejoin us next week. I think Adam was talking about how he made a prediction on the Hall of Fame game that was last night. I didn't even know who won. Was Adam right or anything? I
don't remember.
I was correct in mine last week. I said the Red Sox would take the series from the Dodgers at Fenway, and they did. Before we make our picks this week, let's get just a couple of trade proposals the Titans would make for Micah Parsons. Now, Micah Parsons has said, I do not want to be a Cowboy. He's in the last year of his contract. This is the 5th year. He is 26 years old. He is likely going to sign with somebody for probably the richest contract a defensive player has ever had. Do we all agree that that's probably in the cards?
Say it again.
Richest contract for a defensive player.
I think so.
His next contract will make him the highest paid defensive player in NFL history.
Yeah.
For sure.
I
don't think that's a that's true.
So Adam Schefter tweeted out the Khalil Mack trade, which is a good reference. This was a few years ago. But Khalil Mack was on the Raiders, and they traded him to the Bears, and they got a boatload of picks. They got first-round picks in 2019 and 2020, a third-round pick in 2020, a sixth-round pick in 2019. So 2 first-rounders, a third, and a sixth. So that's sort of the reference point, and I think Parsons is probably better than Mack. Mack was really good. But so keep in mind that when you trade for Parsons, you then have to sign him to a huge
you got to pay
contract. So you are really going to give it up. So we have some sentiment. Hey, get Micah Parsons. Okay, so what are you giving up? One texter says Simmons, a first and a second in 2027. Is that enough? Simmons, a first and a second.
No, that ain't gonna be enough. That ain't gonna be enough. Nope.
You got to add like 2/3.
No. You better give me. Okay, you give me this year. You give me your first this year. We're not swapping. You give me your first this year. You give me Jeffrey Simmons. You give me a first next year, and then we'll work after that. I need 2 firsts.
Oh yeah, I think that's.
I got a first this year and a first
Simmons?
next year, and Simmons.
2 firsts and Simmons.
Michael Parsons is.
I think that's more than it's more than the Raiders got for Khalil Mack.
I was about to say Michael Jordan. Micah Parsons is a offensive wrecker. That's what he is.
Yeah.
He is one of those guys that you know where he is every single play. If he's on the bench, you know that he's on the bench. You know where he's one of those guys that he can wreck your whole outfit. And you know, and even if you try to put 2 guys on him or 3, he's still going to wreck you.
But you're also saying
so you got to pay for that.
You're also saying the Titans should not do this, though. They need too many other.
They need to me because to me, you're giving away. What you're doing is you're getting if his career continues to go the way, if he doesn't have any injuries, he's a Hall of Fame player. That's the way he's trending.
He's tracking that.
So you're trading to get a Hall of Fame player, but you're giving away. You got to give away so much of your future. You got to give away your future.
One texter says
they're not in a position for that. They're not 1 or 2 guys away.
Yeah. Once again, if they had the extra draft capital, if they had traded the pick, the first overall pick, and had a bunch of other things to look at, then I think maybe you could look at it. But I still would be hesitant. I am curious who does jump and throw their hat into the ring. One texter says the Titans would have to give up a boatload, and all they have is a canoe.
Well, there you go.
Okay. All right. Let's make our take it to the bank with the last couple minutes of the show. How about this, Dmace? Why don't we throw this out? And David, I'll give you the first crack at this. By the way, this is a fun baseball score for you. Last night, the Braves and the Reds played an absolutely crazy game. The Braves were ahead 11-3 In the 8th inning, the Reds scored 8 runs without an out being registered, tied it up, and the Braves still won the game 12-11 in 10 innings. Today, pitcher's duel, 3-0. There's baseball. Reds lead the Braves 3-0 in the top of the 9th. The Reds and the Braves are playing in Bristol this weekend. Yes, where they have the race. Remember, Virginia Tech and Tennessee played a football game there. How they get a baseball diamond in there, I don't know what the foul lines, I don't know what the dimensions of the park are, but it's going to be a massive, massive crowd. So I think this would be an interesting question. How many home runs will be hit at that field? I don't know how the ball carries. It's a complete wild card. It would be a dumb thing to bet on, but this is what a lot of people do. They make silly bets just to have some fun action on a game. So a game at Bristol Motor Speedway, first ever. I was talking to Teresa Walker the other day. She's going out there to cover it. They're expecting something like 85,000 for this game. They're trying to set a record for the most fans ever at a regular season baseball game. So what do you think, David?
You know what? I'm going to say there's 2 home runs. I don't know how it could, affect. I mean, again, I went there once. I've been to Bristol Motor Speedway once, and it was during Christmas. We had to go. Me and my dad just went down there just to. There was like a fair type of thing that they were doing for Christmas. We went there, and that's the last time I was been there. And so, I mean, I don't know. It could. I'm gonna say 2 though. I think there are at least 2.
All right. So the starting pitchers, 2 very interesting names. Spencer Strider for the Braves from Knoxville.
Shout out.
And Chase Burns, who has ties to Knoxville, pitched once upon a time for the Vols, transferred to Wake Forest, and now he is pitching for the Reds.
From Gallatin, if I'm correct.
Very interesting. So these are the pitchers. They're pretty good. They have been giving up some home runs, though. So I'm going to say there will be over 3.5. I think there's going to be 4 home runs hit in the game.
I think that's fair.
But I have no idea if the
3.
You could tell me there's 450 feet fences.
Exactly. Yeah,
I don't know.
I don't know.
The Speedway class.
10.
3 home runs. 3.
You say 3.
I say 3.
2 for David.
2,
3 for Dmace. 4 for me.
So what is the over under?
I have no idea. I'm just making it up.
Oh, you just make it up. Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad.
I mean, over. I mean,
I thought you had. I thought there was an over under.
Let's go 3.5 for the over under.
I thought it was an over under.
I don't know. We could probably find one on one of our prop bet sites. Yeah, I'm sure there's
over under.
It's kind of a wild card. It's one of those things. I don't know if you remember the football game between Virginia Tech and Tennessee there, where they had a huge amount of fans. Great idea.
Which one? At
Bristol. Yeah. Okay. So they have a way of suspending, and this is why I did not major in physics, but they have a jumbotron that they suspend over the top of the stadium. That is held together by these cables, and it looks like, how in the world is that thing staying up? I'd be staring at that thing the whole time. If I were playing center field, I'd be like, is it going to fall? Is it going to fall? How's it staying up there?
That was a pretty big jumbotron. Did they say that was the biggest jumbotron in an outdoor facility?
Something like that.
Because I know Dallas has one of the largest, if not the largest, but theirs is a dome basically. I know they can open it, can't they? In Dallas, they can open
it's not. It's kept in the air differently. Because remember that the Titans played a preseason game and the punter hit it.
Yeah,
Jeff Fisher told him to do it. He was like, this thing is too big and it's too low. It's going to affect the ball. So let's just show everybody that the ball could hit it. And sure enough, it wasn't Craig Hentrick or the starting punter. It was the backup punter, but he punted it and it hit the jumbotron. Everybody's like, oh, what do you do? The ball hit the jumbotron. So this game between the Braves and the Reds are right in the playoff mix here. It's a big game for them. The Braves have really struggled with injuries, etc. But the Speedway Classic at Bristol, I wonder if anybody's going from our listening audience. 6:15 tomorrow night on Fox. So that'll be a pretty cool spectacle in the middle of the summer.
What other sports we got coming on this weekend?
I'm sure there's some preseason football.
Yeah, preseason football.
But I don't know if there aren't any games this weekend, right? We'd have to look ahead.
I think the Hall of Fame game is the only game that
was last night.
And that was last night. I don't think they have any games going into the weekend, if I'm not mistaken.
The Ravens play the Colts on the 7th of August.
But that's next
so we got a
week.
little wait.
Yeah, next week. But yeah, I'm
All right, so we'll have to wait another week before we make football predictions, even for preseason games.
Absolutely. I'm ready. I am ready. I was excited about last night's game, but then the Flames were doused because I'm like, it's preseason. Like nobody's playing. But Lance, he did okay. I like Lance. He did a good job with the Chargers.
All right.
His little appearance.
We're out of time. We're going to join you Monday at 3:00. Yes, we're preparing over the weekend, and we'll be ready to bring our A game as we do every day here on DVD. We're sliding from 3 to 6 starting Monday. We're looking forward to it. Everybody have a great weekend.
Be blessed. Love on your people. Have a safe, wonderful weekend. It's going to rain, so bring your umbrellas. The heat is gone, so enjoy. Peace.